Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Xanadu, Part 1, a 5-issue limited series by Vicky Wyman and published by Thoughts and Images. And this came out in 1988. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color. Usually it's black and white this month, though, because the Queller storyline has been black and white for the last few issues. So, like I said, it's a monthly comic that I produce for my patrons on patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. But it's also more than that. It's also an anthology, and it's got other pages, backup stories, back covers, and stuff from other artists. And I'm looking to add more pages, so I'm adding more artists. So if you're an artist and you'd like to be in Random Access, please let me know, and I would love to have your art in there. In this one, pages 11 through 13 are Shane Evans. Pages 14 is Jeremy Duncan. And pages 15 through 16 are Doug Roberts. And I've got a fantastic back cover by Dan Goodwin. And this is actually going to be the cover for Cyrene number 3, which will be coming out shortly. And the logo is by Neil Devlin, and so thank you very much to Neil. And he's always does such fantastic work, and I really love this logo. I'm so torn by this one and the last one. Tell me which logo you guys like better. Do you like this one, which is 1, or this one, which is 2? Let me know. I like how this one's a little bit smaller, a little bit more image area can be seen, but I don't know. There's something about that one that I really like. So just let me know what you guys think of these random accesses. And as always, I appreciate all of your support, and thanks a lot. So let's get back to Xanadu. Xanadu is one of those comic books that I never got back in the 80s. This is from 1988. I never got it. Maybe it was because it was actually labeled as adult content. I'm not entirely sure, because I sure did get heavy metal when I was like 9 or 10 or whatever. And, I checked out a whole bunch of different things. So I don't think for me it was the adult content thing. I think that it was ordered less by comic shops because of the adult content thing. And I just read this. I hadn't read it before. And I really wish I did. I think one of the reasons why I didn't read it was I didn't think that I had all of them, or I didn't think I had number 1. And I didn't really want to start in the middle or whatever. I knew that it was kind of a complex story, and I wanted to start from the very beginning, which I did. I did have it, and I'm really grateful I did, because I really like it. I really enjoy it. It is, like, I was looking up Vicky Wyman. She died in 2018 of a intestinal cancer, and she was a graphic artist, and I guess, like, for most of her life or whatever, or adult life, that's how she made a living. But then made this comic book, and I feel like this was a labor of love. I feel like she probably, like so many other artists, do the graphic arts during the day. They pay the bills with that, and then they have a comic book, or passion, or records, or illustrations or whatever, and that's their passion, and that's what they really love. But they pay their bills with the other stuff. And I really feel like 100% that Xanadu was her passion project, and that she really loved it. And it shows. When I was looking her up, she's a big part of the as you guys know, there's a big furry community where, I don't know, they dress up as furries and pretend to be furries and have sex and furry costumes. I don't know. I don't really know the ins and outs of furrydom. I've never really been a big anthropomorphic fan. Like, I did get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I didn't get all of them. And, when they were affordable, the first ones I did get, I think, was maybe 5 or 6. And then I also got Raphael. I did get the first print of that, but I sold that a long time ago, which I wish I hadn't. But I got that mainly because it was so plentiful here in Maine, because they're from the area. They're from southern Maine, Eastman and Laird, that is. And so that's kind of why I was into that. Plus, the cartoon was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't love it. I wasn't into that, but it's cool. It was hard to get away from anyway. And the fact that they were Mainers just was an added bonus for it. But any of the other furry things, I was never really into. Like I said in the adolescent radioactive hamster review that I did, I never got that. I was never into that. Um, there were some other ones. I did really love Usagi Yojimbo. I don't feel like that is the same thing because it's such high quality. Not to say that any of this other furry stuff is low quality. You go from book to book and you decide which one you think is high quality or low quality, whatever. I think the difference is, um, like the radioactive black belt hamsters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They all had a certain um, comedic kind of way about them. They had their own way. They weren't taking themselves seriously at all. They weren't taking, it wasn't a genre for them. It was just like trying to, make a quick buck on some black and white furry animal kind of things. That's for how I saw it anyway. They were artists and they were passionate, and I'm not going to crap on them because of they chose to do that stuff. But you can just see some things. Stan Saki and his Usagi Jimbo, it just feels like it's a little bit of a higher quality. Maybe it's just that the cream rises to the top. There was a whole mutant thing going on with X Mutants and New Humans and all that stuff, kind of parodying the X-Men. And if it's good, it's good, and if it's not good, it's not good. And Xanadu, for my money, is good. So let's get into this. We'll talk about we'll get into the book and the story and everything, and then we'll go back and look at the writing and the art. So like I said, it's the art and story by Vicky Wyman, cover colors by Bud Toby, lettering by Kurt Hathaway, and editor Axel Shakeman. So the first thing that I'm going to say, though, is that this is a very animation style, animated Disney-esque kind of animation. I'm not a huge fan. Yes, I like Disney movies. I love The Lion King. I love animation. I love all animation. And, some of it's just like, but I like a little bit more realistic stuff. I'm not really into this anthropomorphic stuff that Disney does a lot of. And, I might like it, but I'm not loving it. Other than Lion King, obviously Lion King is one of the things that's, is above and beyond. I think I love the things that are above and beyond, artistic and stuff like that. And, if it's not just some kind of thing made to catch on to the craze. I don't feel like this was made to catch on to the craze whatsoever. Saying that, one of my favorite modern comics is Stray Dogs. And I am going to review that, or maybe I don't know whether I'm going to review it or read through it. I have the trade paperback, so it's a little bit harder to read through it, but I definitely am going to go through it at some point because it's my favorite graphic novel probably from the last 10 years or so. I mean, it's fantastic. Anybody that doesn't know the story of Stray Dogs is it's all of these dogs, and they're like Don Bluth, done by like Don Bluth or Disney or something. And so it's really flamboyantly drawn. It looks like animation. The comic is drawn in animation style almost. But there's a serial killer who, when he kills his victims, I don't know if he chooses them because of the dog or that's just happenstance. When he kills them, he takes their dog and he keeps them as his trophy. And so he's got a house full of dogs and they all talk and stuff like that, just like Don Bluth. And it's a great book. I'm definitely gonna go through it. But like I said, if you've never read it, I highly recommend it. It's really a fantastic book. So let's get into this. I've been yelled at by Joe. I've cracked open the book. I haven't cracked open the book and started the review 10 minutes in, but I just had to get all this stuff off my chest. So we've got a character here who I don't know what this is supposed to be. That's the castle. That's the castle. It's the ever-changing castle. There's a few things that I'll tell you first. Xanadu is the world, and there's a caste system where the magical creatures, these people are creatures. Like there's cats and dogs and mules and wolves and all of this kind of stuff, and they all talk and they're all like like Don Bluth or whatever. But the magical creatures, the griffins, the unicorns, the dragons, they rule the world, and under that is like cats and dogs. They're kind of the commoners, and then they're like you have the working class, which is like the peasants and stuff, and they're like the mice and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's basically just a basic breakdown. But you've got this cat, and he's breaking into the castle. He breaks in. He sees this not a coyote. She's a fox. I think she's a fox, and he is sneaking around. He's breaking in. He's a thief, obviously. He makes a sound. She catches him. They lock eyes, and he just grabs her, and he wants her to be quiet. But then they just start making out. It's heavily romance. This is a heavy romance thing. I don't know if that's because of the female creation of it, or just I don't know. I don't care. One of my things is comics needs romance. I don't think enough comic books have romance in them. It doesn't need to be like an overall thing. It doesn't have to be specific. That's what's missing from my comics is some of the romance. I've had a little bit. I need more. And but this is almost a romance comic. And anyway, they do it. And then he I don't know if they do it or they just make out or whatever, but I kind of think that this is an implication that they do. So he takes off and dives into a bucket, and he yells at his friend the donkey, who he's mad that it was water instead of like a hay bale, because his whole plan was to jump out of the castle and to land in a bale of hay or whatever. So they kind of had this little back and forth about it, and as they're racing away in their cart, they're knocking over soldiers and stuff like that, and they finally get away. But they don't quite get away, because one of the captain's guards, who is a griffin, I think it's supposed to be a griffin, and he kind of brandishes his sword, and he's like the greatest swordsman in Xanadu. And so they kind of go through this little swords bout here, where they're one's doing better than the other one's doing better. It's a nice little fight. And then, but the swordsman, and what's his name? Because this is Tabby the cat, obviously. Domestiques are the regular, or the lowborns. Reginald Plume, that's the name of the guardsman, and he's like the greatest swordsman in the world. And so they're fighting, but the donkey friend, which I don't know what his name. Let's see what his name is. Jonathan. He knocks Reginald over the head with a door, knocks him out, or doesn't knock him out, but knocks him out enough for them to get away. And he says, "God's curse that alley. If I ever see him again, I'll flay him alive." So then it cuts to another scene where a dragon is talking to the queen, and the queen, or princess queen, I think princess queen / I don't know. She's just very young queen, I guess. And she's a unicorn, and he's scolding her for holding court in the nude. And so she just says that, this girl is her friend, Lady Fatima, who was, as Tabby broke in, she's the one that he kind of got with a little bit, or whatever they did. And so what's her name? Oh, Alicia. Alicia is her name, and she's the unicorn, and she says, it's nothing. She's my best friend. As for you, it's nothing you haven't seen before. And so they just kind of have this cute little back and forth. Reginald doesn't care. He's reporting back to her and about the tabby cat and how he broke in, and he is in love with, or courted with, or whatever you call it, with Fatima, who had a little thing with the tabby cat. So she tells him though right away. So she's got some pretty honorable intentions. And Reginald is very angry about the alley cat, but the unicorn is also enamored with the alley cat. She thinks that he's kind of romantic and stuff. So she tells him not to bring the tabby back to her alive for questioning and stuff like that. And it's really, what they want. And so Reginald takes off. He's like, I can't kill Tabby because that would be breaking orders, but I can get one of these Dominiques, lowborn rat people, to do it for me. He gives him a bunch of gold to find a way to kill Tabby, and then it cuts to Alicia and Fatima, and they're discussing how Tabby broke in and how he seduced her, but she kind of really likes it, and she doesn't know how to react to Reginald and stuff. And so Alicia is talking to the Octavius, who's the dragon, the dragon advisor, and she is angry at Reginald because she knows that Reginald is going to kill Tabby if he gets a chance, and that would be a violation of her direct order, and she's really not into that. So she's a little angry at Reginald, and she kind of wants him out of the way. She's not really impressed with him, but he's got lots of friends. He's got lots of sway in the court and all of that stuff. So Octavius just says, be patient, don't push anything, and Reginald will hang himself, basically. Tabby and Jonathan are talking. They're just hanging out or whatever. Tabby's talking how he's in love with Fatima now, that even though he's like a scoundrel and he's the one that is supposed to seduce her and she's the one that's supposed to want him, really it's gone back the other way. And Jonathan is just like, oh, just give it up. You'd have to see her again, or he says something like that. And Tabby's like, yes, you're right. Let's go break back in. I must see her again. So we cut to the rat and his friend. I don't know if that's supposed to be a ferret or whatever. I think it is. They have some cockatrice blood, not cockatrice, basilisk venom, and it's supposed to turn Tabby into stone if he hits him with this dart. Tabby breaks into the castle. The castle, remember, is always changing. It's magically enhanced, so it's always changing and always weird and stuff like that. So he breaks in. He jumps over. He thinks that it's Fatima's room, but it's not. It's the palace eating place. Dining room, palace dining room. He falls into a big pot of soup, but Reginald is there and he's going to kill him. But I guess no. They just are going to fight, but Tabby pushes him back, and then they're going to fight. So they do start to fight, and Reginald attacks him, but then stop, Captain, remember your orders, alive and unhurt. So he does knock Tabby out, and they have this little talk where, yes, it's supposed to be alive and stuff. He's supposed to be alive. But she tells him to give her, she tells her guards to give Tabby a bath, which Tabby doesn't like it because he's a cat, obviously. And Reginald is very angry about this. He has words with the mouse or rat, and the rat says stuff like he was supposed to kill him. He was going to kill him with the basilisk venom, but it didn't happen. And Reginald's just angry, but he says, get out of here. I'll do it myself. And then it cuts to Tabby having his bath. He's getting naked and he's being thrown into a pool, but it's really a magical pool, which kind of I think is the center of Xanadu, and it gives all of these animals their ability to talk and walk and everything. So then we have Alicia, and she's in the pool, and she just wants to get with Tabby, obviously, and that was her whole thing. So they're in the pool, but somebody shoots him with a dart. The pool is actually also cure for poison, and she says to the guards to go after and get whoever tried to kill Tabby. Jonathan comes over. He tries to rescue Tabby, but he obviously doesn't want to be rescued because he's okay hanging out with the princess. And so he gets his clothes back on, and they don't fight. Yes. He knocks Reginald is gonna fight Tabby. Jonathan knocks him on the head, knocks him out, and in the other room is Fatima, and Tabby and Fatima kiss, and he decries his love for her, and they kiss again, and it's all good. But he wants to get away, and so he and Jonathan, Tabby has stolen some of the water from the magical pool, and they get away and they leave the palace unscathed. And that is how the first issue ends. And a great thing about the end of this is that it's got all of the characters that are going to be in the book, and some of them that are already in the book. And it's got a little artist and writer thing about Vicky Wyman, which is really kind of interesting. So it's got these cool little character biographies, and that's really kind of an awesome thing for a first issue. So let's get into this. The writing is really good. I love it. It flows really nicely. One of the things that I don't like, and I guess I'll talk about that a little bit now and then more with the art, is that some of the stuff is kind of hard to tell what's going on. And yes, I did have to go back and reread some panels, certain panels. It's the narrative art that's a little weak. But the writing, the dialogue, everything is smooth as silk, very crispy, and it's fun to read. It's enjoyable to read. I liked reading it. The plot is super thin. It's like a cartoon. It's like a half an hour cartoon where it's really 15 minutes because there's advertisements, but it just the characters are alive. The characters are moving. They've got really great relationships with each other. All of the motivations are there. It's really an enjoyable read. It's quick. It's fun. It's light. There's nothing heavy going on. It's not Game of Thrones. It doesn't pretend to be. It doesn't want to be. But it's really enjoyable, and it's got a lot going on for it. Even though the plot is a little thin, but that's perfectly okay. A plot doesn't have to be really intricate and formulated to be enjoyable, as long as the everything is going a little along with it. The dialogue, the storyline, everything is the characters. As long as everything is going along good, it doesn't matter if the plot is a little thin, because usually if the plot is a little thin, it kind of, and all of that other stuff is in there, then the next issue, the plot will get thicker and thicker because the characters. A lot of a first issue is introducing the characters, introducing the good guys, introducing the bad guys, and that takes up a lot of time, a lot of space, and a lot of narrative. But once you got that out of the way and you don't have to do that again, you can really get into the plot, which I'm really interested in reading the second one, and I'm hoping that the plot does get a little bit more intricate. So I really did enjoy the writing, and it was nicely scripted, and as I said, and I'm interested in reading more because from the writing perspective. As far as the art is really good. I do like this style. Like I said, it's animation, it's cartoon, it's all of that stuff, super flowing. Animation and cartoony stuff is always very flowing and loose. It's like one of the first things when you learn in animation is how to bounce a ball, and it's got to have a heavy drop, and then when it's bouncing back up, it's got to elongate. It's not so much a ball going up and down and up and down. It's giving the ball life as it goes up and down, and that's really what the animation. I wouldn't be surprised if she did work in some animation at some point or another. But this looks like really smooth animation, and it's really enjoyable to watch. To read. The panels are full. All of the pages are full. I love the panel setup. There's a lot of panels per page, but there's a lot of story, even though it's not so much of a plot. But there's a lot of the story going on in this broken up plot, I guess, or in this simple plot, which kind of doesn't make a lot of sense when you say it like that. But if things are kind of spread out. It's like a lot of anime or manga have that issue where you'll have 5 pages that kind of the same thing happens, and yet the plot is a little bit more intricate. So there's a lot of stuff like that. like I said, there were a couple times where I got lost. I think her art, Walter Simonson said, and I remember reading this very early on, that when you start out in comics, you're either very heavy and good with the art aspect of it and you need to work on the narrative art aspect, or you're really good with the narrative art aspect and you have to work on your drawing and your art aspect of it. And she has her drawing down pat. It's the narrative art that she has to work on. And who knows, maybe, maybe this is her first book and maybe her second book is just so much more fantastic narrative art wise. But a lot of things are, like I said, I did have to go back and reread a few things because she doesn't have, when I say I like an action where it has the beginning of the action, the middle of the action, and then the resolution of the action. She doesn't do that with a lot of stuff. Like these guards are chasing them, but it doesn't really, it's kind of, there's so much movement in the panel that it gets kind of lost. And then I don't really understand what this is. I mean, I guess it is a guard, but then he gets knocked over or something happens. And like so much of these things, something happens and I don't know what happens. Oh, he dumps water on them. And if there was if this panel was broken up maybe into 3 sections or even 2 sections, it would have been a lot more easy to understand what was going on. Just him pouring the water on them, and the water, yes, it does look watery. I don't know. I just think that it could have been done better. Maybe if this panel had been the whole thing and you really got a look at what was going on and they were like floundering around under the water or whatever, maybe that would have been a little bit more less confusing. But so there were a few things. Her fight scenes, they are action oriented and they are good. But again, like I said, there's no build up, there's no middle, and there's no resolution to them. They're just kind of different swings, they're different movements. And yes, it is fun to look at, but I really need that resolution. Especially, this is fine. You realize it's in the middle of the fight. There's a lot of things going on, but this is a resolution, and it doesn't really, like, he's swinging this way, and yet, he jabs him. So, or it goes around his back or something like that. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then this comes out of nowhere. I wish there had been like a hint of the door here. And like I said, there's no resolution. This is like 2 panels of resolution. So it was a little bit hard for me to figure out what was going on there. So like I said, a couple times I did have to go back and reread things. Some of the word balloons are in compromising positions where you have to kind of figure out which word balloon goes where. And it's difficult to difficult to read always. But it is enjoyable to read. As far as art, I do like the art a lot. I think it's enjoyable. She's got some really great movement. She's got some really great poses and figures and emotions, because if you're doing this kind of animation, your characters are emoting really a lot with it, whether or not it's a really high eyebrow or really small eyebrow, short eyebrow, or and a lot of this kind of stuff. And just like things like this, he's being pushed back into the soup bowl, and this didn't really need to be a splash page, but anyway, it's really enjoyable, and I really liked it a lot. Yeah, Xanadu. So for a review score, if there's more Xanadus, I don't know if I have them all. I think I might have 3 or 4. So if I don't have them all, I'm going to double check. I'm going to buy them until I have 5, obviously. You can get these very cheaply, though, on eBay. Like, this is like $3 or $4. It's super cheap. All of the issues are super cheap. And I'll get to that in a second, why I think it's so cheap. So, yes, I would. The story and the art and the writing, really top notch. I'm going to give it an 8 for that. I can't give it a 9 because it's missing some of the emotional impact that I'm really looking for to make something a 9 or a 10, especially 10. But it's and also the fact that I had to reread a few things. I knocked that off for the narrative art aspect of the story. So I'm going to give it an 8.5. I'm giving it that extra half because the art is really interesting to read, interesting to look at, enjoyable to look at. The story's enjoyable. All of the characters are really fun. And as far as the story, I was never really confused by the story. Just these moment-to-moment issues that I had with the panels, or panel-to-panel moments, rather. So I'm going to give it an 8.5. And if you guys like furry animals or animation style art, I would think that you would really appreciate it a little bit more than I do. But I did enjoy it. I liked it an 8.5. It wasn't very popular, I guess. And I think I'm pretty sure that I remember seeing it on my comic book shelves at my LCS, and not like I was, 14 or 15 or whatever, and not wanting to try it out because it was on the adult section of the books. If she had taken off any of the adult stuff, and which there's only breasts a few times, I think in the later issues it becomes a little bit more sexual, but if she had just taken that aspect out of it, I think this would have been, and not aimed it at kids, but given it enough so that kids could enjoy it as well as adults, because this is aimed at adults because of the nudity, but the story and everything and the characters could be aimed at kids as well. So if she had just taken that away and they had a little bit of better marketing towards children as well as adults and women, it's by a woman. I think if she had aimed it a little bit more at women, she would have had a little bit more success, because I guess she did this 5 issues and it was not as successful as she had hoped. And so I think she did a couple other things in comics, like there was a fanzine or something, but it's really too bad. It was a missed opportunity to have a really great artist doing comic books, doing really unusual and unique and different comic books. So yeah, I'm giving it 8.5, and I did enjoy it. So if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. This is the kind of thing I look at. I look at indie comics from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, and just really anything that is artistic and unusual, and I catches my fancy. Really is really what I like to do. And so if you do all those things, I'd really appreciate it. But more than that, I really like comments. And I love talking to people in the comment section. Let me know if you have Xanadu, if you had Xanadu, if you have it, haven't read it, or maybe you read it back in the day, but you just don't remember it. You read it, it's in your collection, you haven't thought about it in a long time. Maybe it's time to dig it out and try it again, because it's really kind of interesting. But I would love to hear about you guys, whether or not you like it, like the artwork and the story and whatnot, and what you think. So anyway, thanks for watching. And today's Wednesday, so we've got some more cool stuff coming up this weekend and this week. And so thanks for watching. I really appreciate all of you guys. And as always, keep on creating.